the only thing with lockdown and everything that happened when you were doing the comedy and stuff, what was your initial thoughts with lockdown when it happened? Like how? Because I've still been worked throughout, so I haven't stopped working. So
yeah, well, we've only been at Dirty Blondes with Small and Shouty for I think Feb was the first ones we did. We had these slam nights. I think you came to that one, didn't you? Where we had a poet, a musician, and stuff, and that was really good. And then we had the full stand-up night a couple of weeks after that, and we basically sold out, and it was really, really good. So we both myself and Kieran were buzzing with that. So we straight away booked one for the end of March with we had again another mint lineup. We had Colin Manford, who's fantastic, to close the show, and that was due around. It was the last Wednesday in March, or something like the 29th or something. I can't remember, but lockdown happened about the 23rd of March. So we're like, you're joking, we're a week away or whatever it was from running our next gig, and we had to pull it. So I've been chatting with Kieran, and we're looking at potentially getting going fairly soon. I think Kieran's mentioned end of August, but I think it's still a bit too soon. I want to see some other people do gigs first so we can see how they do it. I don't want to be the first to put a show on and make mistakes. I'd rather let another company or another set of people run a gig and cock it up, and then learn from their mistakes. So potentially end of September, I think. But I'm due to go into Dirty Blondes to have a chat with Kieran and the rest of the guys about that and how we go from there. But yeah, it was gutted. We both gutted because Dirty Blondes, as you know, is a great venue. It's super cool. It's dead indie. It doesn't really suit Blackpool in a way. It's perhaps something you'd see more in something like Manchester, maybe. And because we watched the Super Bowl there, didn't we? So I'm sure we'll come on to that a bit later on. But it's a really cool bar, and to get a following that we've had from the previous venues we had we had one in St Anne's and one in Polton. To try and take that into the centre of Blackpool, we thought would be quite tricky, and it doesn't seem like we had the following come with us as such. But we had a new following of people who were just Dirty Blondes fans, really, of the bar, not of people. We sold out, and it was better than we could have imagined, and we were dead excited to think, this is going to be our new home for the foreseeable. We've got a good crowd. Even the headline act, a guy called Big Lou, he commented during his set and said, I can't believe this is one of the best crowds I've played to on a Wednesday in February in Blackpool. It's unbelievable how many people have come out and how great the crowd were. And he's a massive experienced professional comedian who's been going for such a long time. So for him to say that, we thought, we're doing something right now. And then bleeding lockdown happened and basically shat on us. Excuse the French, but it just ruined what we had planned for the following months. But there's people in worse situations than us, so I can't really complain.
It's like Dirty Blondes have become like so popular. Like I follow them on Instagram. They're always like, "We're sold out, booked tonight." Sold out, and it's just crazy because, like you said, they've got so much of a big following on there as well.
Massive, yeah. I love the way they don't care either. They'll put posts on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and they just like, "Don't be a dick," and I just love that attitude. It's a lot of people think you have to conform to being so PC or customer service is top of the list or whatever, but they're just normal. Just don't be a dick or whatever. They also take the piss out of Kieran, who works there, who's the guy that I run Small and Shouty with, which everybody loves taking the piss out of Kieran. And I think, to be honest, Kieran probably loves it, to be honest. I do love everything about Dirty Blondes, the way they handle the business, the way they do things, the way that their menu is just, it's not a standard menu of cocktails. They're just, I can't think of what the names are, but it's just funny. If anyone's watching, if you've not seen or looked at Dirty Blondes' menu, have a look, because it's funny. It's funny in itself.
Especially at the weekend, like at the moment as well, throughout August, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you get like the 50% off and stuff, don't you? From the food for like the massive pizza.
The food is mint. It is really good. The pizzas are really, really good. What did we have on Super? Do you have chicken?
50 chicken wings. And like a massive 18-inch pizza as well.
Yeah, it wasn't just between you and I. There was other people there.
We probably ate most of it, but
I reckon so. And that's why I fell asleep during the game.
That's only because it's the Chiefs anyway. Nobody likes the Chiefs.
Yeah, correct. And all.
But so you said Small and Shouty. How did that start? Like, was that just something? Is that obviously you and Kieran created this, or?
Yeah, yeah. God, it was probably about 18 months ago. I've known Kieran for years. We got together probably around 2013, something like that, and we've been pretty friendly ever since, really. And he was working at Nouveau in St Anne's, where his fiancée Molly was, and I think he was working at Jameson's in Polton as bar manager there. So he gave me a shout and said, "Oh, well, look, we want to put a comedy night on at potentially both of these venues. What do you reckon?" So I went in for a chat with him, and we just had a half an hour pint basically between us discussing what we wanted to do, and we just said, "Oh, we'll give it a go, see what happens." We're not entirely sure if St Anne's or Polton perhaps has the audience for comedy, but we'll give it a go. We'll put one gig on in each, and we did Jameson's in Polton, and we had about, I don't know if you ever went into Jameson's. It was quite a small room.
Not very well known with Polton.
It's probably, the room was probably half the size of Dirty Blondes, and we had about 70 people in there, literally squeezed in. It couldn't have been closer. Definitely breaking all the health and safety rules that are about there. But it was a massive success. And we took it to Nouveau in St Anne's and put on a show there, and it wasn't as successful at first. We only had probably just less than 20, maybe 18, 19 people in. And what happened over the months was Nouveau steadily built up and up and up, and we were getting to the 40s and 50 people at each, regulars at each one, and Jameson's went down and down and down, where the last one we put at Jameson, there was about 20 people in, whereas Nouveau, when that came to an end, we were getting 50 to 60 of mostly regulars and their friends. So it's weird how one went from really, really full to empty, the other one went from empty to full. Yet we had the same principle for both venues, used often very similar, or sometimes the same comedians for both venues, on the basis that we had different audiences. So yeah, just an idea Kieran put to me, and we both ran with it, and it worked. And then both venues shut, so we had a following, both on Facebook and in real life, if that's the right word. And we thought, we can't really do nothing with what we've built up over the last 6 months. So both Kieran and his fiancée Molly were going to work for Dirty Blondes, and we just pitched the idea to Jake, who's the gaffer there. And he was like, "Yeah, let's give it a go." And off the one, well, we did this band night and the one comedy night, it was pretty successful. So it's an idea we had, and we just ran with it, and it's built up over the last, well, before lockdown, last sort of 7, 8, 9 months, something like that. And it's something I think we'll keep going at. It's not gonna buy us Ferraris and things, but it's something we both love doing. So I don't see why we should really stop, if that makes sense.
No, especially if it's not like costing you as much money or time or effort. You're doing something that you love and when you want to do. So it should be worth doing it. I mean, for this, like, I'm never going to get paid for it unless I become really massive and start putting ads in my podcast. I never have to put ads in my podcast, but
I mean, I'd like to think my millions of fans might watch this, and all three of them. You've got to start somewhere, haven't you? With whatever you do. You look at Jason, who you had on last time, who's started out doing his
the Pokemon
Pokemon cards, which I don't think he's been doing it that long, but he's already got a few hundred followers subscribers is the right word. On YouTube. So he's got to start somewhere, and that's why when you messaged me, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely up for having a little bash on this, because I'm so crap with technology and things like that. I'd love to be able to know what I was doing. Even just switching my laptop on's an issue sometimes.
That's what I mean. Like I've wanted to do this for so long, because I enjoy just talking to people anyway and learn about different people. I think I'm kind of boring in myself. I don't really do a lot. Like I was married at 18. I've got a 10-year-old kid, and I've been divorced. And so I'm just quite boring in that sense. So I enjoy listening to other people, like, and their hobbies and their experiences, because I like to think I'm kind of funny in a way, like a weird way, but quite boring.
You trying to angle after a little gig there for Small and Shouty there?
I would fail miserably.
To be honest, some of the people Kieran and I have worked with, you'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, have you ever had those nights where there's just been like no laughters whatsoever, and it's just like,
yeah,
why?
Yeah. Any comedian, who says they've never bombed on stage is absolutely lying. I'm going to sound like a bit of a knob now, but when I first started doing comedy, I was really good at. I was perhaps not your usual self-deprecating comedian who just likes to take the piss out themselves. I write very short, punchy jokes based on real life. I have a setup that I got from Lee Mack. I read an interview with him where he tries to write a situation, writes a punchline, and a second punchline, and a third punchline. So he just keeps the laughs coming as the jokes go out. So that's how I sort of try and write a joke where I'll have one punchline, and whilst people are still laughing, I'll hit them with a second one. And if I can, try and squeeze a third punchline out of the same gag. But when I first started doing it, I was winning competitions and things like that, and I became perhaps a little arrogant. Definitely became massively arrogant. I got a bit too cocky within the first, 6 to 12 months, and perhaps thought I was better than I definitely thought I was better than I was. And then I ended up working for an agent. My ex, who wasn't ex at the time, was a singer. She was in a girl band, and they were auditioning for an agent who impressed them, who was looking to sign them or whatever. And their manager got them this gig. So I went down just to watch, really. And I'd only been doing comedy for probably a year or so. And at the time, the band's manager knew I was doing some stand-up, and he said, I've been speaking to the agent. They've got sort of 15, 20 minutes to kill. Do you want to jump on and do a bit? So I was like, yeah, all right. So I just jumped on, did 15 minutes or so, and I sort of piss out the crowd a little bit. There's a few people who were pretty drunk in there, so it was pretty easy. And they came to me straight away and said, look, we'd love to work with you. We don't have any comedians on our books, but we'd love to get you some gigs. And we've had people inquire about comedians, not something we specialise in, but we'd love to not sign you, but we'd love to work with you. So I ended up doing some very bizarre gigs for this agent. And the one I'll talk to you about is the one where I wouldn't say I bombed as such, but it was just difficult. It was at a beer festival in Great Harwood. So for anyone who doesn't know where Great Harwood is, you've got Burnley and Blackburn as the arse cheeks, and Great Harwood's the arsehole in the middle. And it is literally the middle of nowhere. And this beer festival was going on. They put the stage in front of the walkway from the bar to the beer tent. So all I had was people just walking constantly past me while I was trying to do 2 45-minute sets, and there was just one group of 6 people sat watching the show, and it felt like it was almost a personal gig for these 6 people that was interrupted by 50, 60 people throughout the sets. And it just became not enjoyable, and I could tell by the way I was delivering jokes and things that I wasn't enjoying it. That was probably rubbing off on them, and they probably weren't enjoying it. And I still got paid. It was all fine, and the people that I was doing the gig to, the 5 or 6 people that were there, loved it, and they were like, "Come and stay with us, come and have a drink and have a chat to us." Well, I just wanted to get out of there because I just felt uncomfortable, knowing that it's hard to try and make people laugh, but when there's only 5 or 6 of them, it's even harder because laughing's infectious, as everybody knows. So if there's more people, it's a lot easier to get bigger laughs. And
especially
one gig on that, is that one. It sticks with me forever.
Yeah, it's like I was saying with when I obviously saw you in Dirty Bonds, obviously you're mainly hosting, but from what I gathered from yourself, you feed off the audience and you take the piss out of the audience. So you need the audience there to feed off their energy to obviously make it a better gig. And
absolutely. It's just what I find easier to do. I do have jokes material, and I've got like a solid sort of 15-minute, 20-minute set that I can pull out if I need to go and do a gig somewhere else. But I prefer hosting because, like you said, I'll bounce off people in the audience. I find it really easy to win a battle of minds if I've got a microphone and the other person hasn't. So there's a lot of very quick comebacks you can get at people with, and a lot of put downs that I can throw out there that I'll use over and over again that so far haven't failed me. But I know a lot of comedians don't like to do hosting because you're on and off, you can't really get into a rhythm. But I don't mind jumping on and off and being there for the whole night. I'm a fan of comedy anyway, so whenever I've done a gig, even if I've been on first, I'll stay till the end if I can, and just watch the rest of the show, because I love performing arts. Essentially, I love live music, I love everything. Yeah, it's just something I prefer to do. I find it. I guess I'm quite lucky that I find it quite easy to feed off the audience. Some people don't, some people can't do it, but I'm lucky enough that so far I've been able to.
Yeah, so you talk about before with Lee Mack, was he your main influence? What was your influences getting into comedy?
Yeah, so when I was really young, so when I was sort of mid-teens, Lee Evans was my favourite. Growing up in the sort of 90s when he was as big as he was.
He's sweating as much as me now. So.
Yeah, hiding it well. Lee Evans was really the person who got me into enjoying watching somebody perform comedy. And I think he's live at Wembley from sometime in the 90s. He's just iconic for when he burst onto the sort of mainstream scene, if you will. And from watching Lee Evans, I got into all your other comedians, your likes of Peter Kay, which a lot of people think I don't like Peter Kay, and it's not that I don't like Peter Kay. I love him. I think he's an absolute genius.
Yeah.
Whatever he says is funny, and that's not a skill you can learn. I always say there's nothing funny about garlic bread, but when Peter Kay says garlic bread, it's hilarious, but there's still nothing funny about garlic bread. So a lot of people think I don't like him. In fact, literally, I have his book here, so if anyone who thinks I don't like him, that wasn't set up, it's just there.
Yeah.
For people who think I don't like him, I do like him. It just annoys me that he can make anything funny that isn't funny, and that's a talent. Like I said, it's not one you can learn. And as I've got to watch more comedians over the years, Lee Mack has massively been my favourite. He's northern, he's from Southport, so that helps. But a lot of comedians are northern anyway, aren't they? I think we're just funnier up north.
We don't care. We just say whatever we want, don't we?
That's it. We're friendly and we're happy, and I think that comes off on stage. But yeah, Lee Mack, in terms of me getting into comedy, was my biggest influence. Jimmy Carr, I'd put in the mix as well, because he writes a lot of short jokes, almost one-liners to an extent. Lee Mack and Jimmy Carr were probably my two biggest influences to give it a go in terms of mainstream comics. And then the other people who influenced me are friends and family, really, who often say, "Oh, yeah, you're quite funny. You ever thought of doing stand-up?" And I think when people have said that to me, they've probably not thought I would go and do it. And I did have a go in 2012, probably October time, something like maybe November. It was the Frog and Bucket, if you ever went in Preston, but they used to have an amateur night on a Wednesday, and it was called Beat the Frog. So you had to try and last 5 minutes before the audience effectively voted you off. 3 audience members had a card, and if you got, I think, a minute or 2 minutes grace, and if you were shit, they just put a card up.
Yeah.
And once 3 cards went up, you got booted off. And I was lucky that my first ever go, I didn't tell anyone I was going. I just thought I'd turn up, have a go. If I'm not very good, nobody ever has to know about it. If I am very good, I'll have another go and perhaps tell people. And I came second on the whole night, and I remember chatting to a few of the people. I think there was maybe 8 or 9 other comedians, and some of them have been going for 10 years, and I finished ahead of them. So I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something in it. Maybe there's a reason to carry on. And I think I did Beat the Frog. They have one in Manchester as well. I think I did Beat the Frog probably 20 times, and I never got voted off. I won it 7, 8, maybe 9 times. I won the whole night. And it just sort of went from there. Really. I thought I should perhaps not take it seriously, but at least carry on with it after I gave it a go. And it's just, that was 2012, late 2012, November, October, something like that. And I'm still plodding on.
I've heard of Beat the Frog. I said my friend Niall's done it a few times in Manchester, I think, and like I said, I didn't know what it was, but like you explained it, it's just basically you go on, you got the last 5 minutes. Because he's like, I beat the frog. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, but good.
Yeah.
Good. If it's good, great.
Just picture him twatting a frog.
I was like, comedy's gone a bit strange since I've last gone to watch it.
Yeah. There's a lot of, they call them gong shows, a lot of gong shows. you can do about. The Comedy Store has Beat the Gong, which is essentially the same thing. But yeah, I think we had Niall at the Slam Night, didn't we?
Yes,
Back
that was
in
the first time I've actually seen him live. I've known him for about 4 or 5 years, and he was like, we recently graduated university, and he was just randomly started going to these comedy nights, and it's just like, what? It's like just completely out of nowhere, just started doing it. And he was like, yeah, I'm doing this in Manchester. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then he said, talking about beating frogs. And I was like, okay, are you still doing comedy? He's like, yeah, I am. And then, and then obviously he did your show, which is the first time I saw him.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, he did. He did quite
Blondes.
well, to be fair. He did quite well. It was an interesting audience that night at Dirty Blondes because it was a slam night and it wasn't. It was just a free entry, so anyone could come. There was a lot of groups that came and weren't really interested in the singers, the comedians, or the poet, as it was quite tough for some acts who perhaps haven't been going. I think Niall's fairly new. He won't mind me saying that. It can be quite difficult and perhaps a little bit intimidating if people aren't listening. But I'd like to think I've got enough experience to deal with a difficult audience like that, and it was pretty successful in the end. I felt a bit sorry for the young lad who played the guitar and sang because literally nobody was listening. I think they treated it as him as background music, which was a bit unfair, and he was really good as well. But it was overall it was successful. Now was really good that night. And we also had a guy named Andy who was his first ever gig, I think. On that night, an older, not older fella, but
it was the older guy who was in the group of people.
Yeah, that was his first ever gig, and he was really good as well. So it's always good to see people having a go and succeeding. It's a little bit more awkward when somebody has a go and they're not very good. But you still support them either way, even if they're down their arse. You still put an arm around them and say, listen, don't give up, just try again, and eventually you'll figure out what works for you as a comedian and what doesn't. So that's all about keep going. Obviously, some people I've seen, and I probably wouldn't encourage them to carry on. But the majority of people, just don't give up. That's what I would say. Just carry on, and eventually you'll find what works for you.
Yeah. With that night as well, I know, because obviously the poet you had as well, we've mentioned a few times. I actually went to primary school with Ant, and I grew up across the road from him. So it's nice to see him going out and doing that as well. And you don't expect a poet to be like as funny as that. Like, I bet you're like a poet and you're like, okay, it's open mic night, why not?
But I remember when I think he messaged the page on Facebook, and Kieran and I discussed it, and it was like, do you know what? Yeah, it's an anything goes night. So if a poet wants to have a go, let's run with it and see what happens. And he was really, really good and really funny, to the point where Kieran and I have discussed getting him to do a set on the comedy night because he was funny in every single poem he did. He wasn't the poems he was doing weren't ones where you have to listen and pay attention to the words and you mean this, that, and the other. They were just funny. So Kieran and I did speak about getting him back. God, this is back in Feb or whenever it was, getting him back to do a set on one of the comedy nights, and we definitely will, because he was really, really good, and it was different as well, which I'm all for people being different and doing different things to the norm. So he was great, really good, really good.
Who would you say? Have you gone to see Lee Mack or Peter Kay live? Who's the best one you've ever seen live?
Lee Mack is the best I've ever seen live. I saw him in Blackpool probably 2015, something like that. He was brilliant, as I'd expect, to be honest. I think because I was fangirling a little bit, I was always going to think he was unbelievable anyway. Trying to think who I will have seen live, who people probably won't know. Chris Washington. He's somebody I absolutely recommend. He's just starting to do a bit of TV work. I think he's done Mock the Week. He's somebody who I'd certainly recommend people check out. And a lot of the comedians we tend to work with aren't particularly known on TV as such, or to your regular person, but they're well known on the circuit. I mentioned Big Lou before. Kieran and I always go to Big Lou when we need a big.
You'll always see his face on like the posters around.
Yeah. And we know he delivers every single time. And so as soon as we've got a gig that a venue we've not been to before, we'll just go to him straight away. His agent, who's a guy named Adam Rushton, who's a former comedian, and he's been a massive help. He runs a comedy agency called A Rush of Laughter, which is 50% of our acts come through him. So we always go straight to Adam and say he's Bigler available for this night. And we just know, you kind of know in terms of what audience Blackpool's going to get. You know who's going to work and who isn't. So Bigler is perfect because he handles himself brilliantly. He will rinse anybody in the crowd who tries to heckle him without a care in the world. And it's perfect for what Kieran and I try and do, really. So I can't think who else have I seen live that people will know. Jimmy Carr. Jimmy Carr's excellent. He's constantly touring. Someone people probably won't know is a guy called Patrick Monaghan. Okay. Some people may know him, some people won't. He won a competition on TV a few years ago, and I've seen him live quite a few times, and he's become a bit of a friend because we went to see him so many times. We got to know him, and whenever he's up this way anyway, I'll always fire him a message and go and see him, and we'll always go for a drink afterwards and things like that. And he's well worth checking out. Patrick Monaghan, he's excellent. He's very, very energetic, a lot like Lee Evans and stuff. So he's well worth.
Very like animations, like hi, like
yeah,
all over the show.
All about the energy, yeah. Which again is such a different style to somebody like Mickey Flanagan, for example, who will just stand and tell stories. Which again is great. He's funny, but you get the likes of Patrick Monaghan, Lee Evans, who are all over the stage. Peter Kay to an extent is quite energetic, whereas Lee Mack not so much. But it's whatever works. As I said before, it's whatever works for that person.
No, because one of my favourite comedians, don't know if you've ever heard of him, Anthony Jeselnik. He's a Canadian comedian. Just dry, dark humour, just talking about like punching babies and that kind of thing. And it's just literally just him on a stage talking like this, going, "Oh no, probably." Just like that. That's all it is, and I love it. Like he's amazing.
Yeah.
And I saw him at Fringe. Yeah.
Ricky Gervais is excellent in that sort of style. Perhaps not as dark as that, but he's certain. His show on Netflix is pretty dark at times.
Oh, Afterlife. I still haven't watched that yet. I've watched extras in The Office, but I haven't watched.
It's phenomenal. Afterlife. It's really good. It's a show that can have you sad and upset, and then 30 seconds later you're pissing yourself. I definitely recommend. I've recommended it to my parents to watch, but it's really good. But it is quite dark at times.
I've seen the clip of obviously when he's walking past the school and he's all like, "Get away from me, pedo!" It's like nobody wants to fuck you, ginger man, or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's close to the bone, but it's excellent. Really, really good.
So, what would be your advice to anybody getting into comedy? Like, say, because you just got told. Like, you're quite funny, try it out. What if anybody wants to go out and do it? Do you just go to open mic nights? Like, what would you recommend?
I would 100% say get yourself to an open mic night. There's loads, or before lockdown, there was loads in all the big cities, Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, Leeds, that they've all got stuff going on. And I would probably suggest going to watch a couple before actually having a go. I didn't, I just had a go and I was lucky, but I would certainly advise going to watch and see what that night entails really, because if it is a gong show and it is your first go and you do get gonged off, it's massively soul destroying, or can be. I say that like
it can be. Never had it before, but you know.
Yeah, I know. I
assume it is.
But I've seen it crush other people to the point where they've not even said bye and just left the venue. So I would certainly say go and watch it. And if you don't want the pressure of being gonged off in front of 100 people or however many people are there, then I would try and find a different venue that is still open mic, but it's more relaxed. You'll get your 5 minutes. You won't get booted off. And just find a night, go and watch it. And if it's okay for you, get in touch with the guy who runs it or speak to the guy hosting it at the end of the night. At Dirty Blondes, we'll do more slam nights, which are basically open mic, not just for comedy, for anything. But if somebody wants to come down to Dirty Blondes and watch and you want to have a go, just grab me or Kieran at the end, and we'll get you booked in for another one. Or even if you feel up to it on the night at Dirty Blondes, just come and grab me during an interval. And if you want to go there and then, I'll probably encourage you to go and have a go. So if you've got a couple of
you
minutes,
trying to get me up to sing, weren't you? I was like, no,
yeah, okay. That's it. Just give it a go. I know you're confident enough to do that, but you didn't want to at the time. But I would just encourage someone to have a go. Just do it now. There's no time. have a beer if you need to first, or a vodka or whatever, calms the nerves. But another bit of advice I give: don't do a gig pissed. I tend not to drink now when I gig until late on in the gig, so I'm not drunk. A story from a fair few years ago. Went out to a birthday meal before I was closing a show in Blackpool. I thought I won't be on till 9:30. I've got plenty of time. Had a few beers with a meal, had a few more beers afterwards, and turned up at the venue pissed, and I was just a dick. And I was that much of a dick. Some guy in the audience just told me to shut up, and I was like, "Who are you?" And he goes, "I own this place." I was like, "Oh no." that couldn't have gone any worse, and I didn't get paid for that night, and they still owe me my fee, which it was 5-6 years ago, whenever it was. So I don't think I'm going to get it. But yeah, don't get drunk. That's my advice. It's harder.
So you've been doing it for a few years. I think when we spoke, I think we used to play football, and I came back and you said that you used to be a barista, not a barista, like a coffee one, a barista. Like, didn't you used to work in like that field? What was it that you used to do beforehand? Like the kind of don't pay, take it away kind of thing. A bailiff, that's the one, yeah.
I worked in debt collection for 5 years, and I was doing that when I first started. So it was two massively different industries to be
exactly.
from pissing people off to making them laugh, almost finishing one job at 5 o'clock and going to do the next in Manchester or wherever, straight from work. And because of that, I was interviewed on Falco's radio by a guy I used to know. Just wanted to talk about me doing comedy and debt collection. And the owner of the radio station at the time was listening, and he grabbed me and said, "Would I fancy my own radio show?" So I did that for probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 months maybe, a few years ago. I had my own Sunday 12 till 1 Falco's radio, just an hour where he gave me free rein to talk about whatever I wanted, play whatever music I wanted. And I used to get quite a lot of listeners for somebody who'd never done radio before. And it was fun. I only stopped because at the time I had a lot coming up in the next following few months where I couldn't do most of the Sunday. So I gave up temporarily, but I never went back to it. Maybe something I'll pick up in the future. But I did love having a radio show. And because I had my show on a Sunday, and it's nicely shoehorns onto NFL. I used to talk about NFL quite a lot.
Yeah.
I was advised not to talk about stuff that was... I was advised not to talk about sports and news because if they ever needed to fill in an hour where somebody not turned up, they'd just play one of my pre-recorded shows. But I couldn't help talk about NFL when my radio show was on a Sunday and the games were Sunday night.
You just want to get back ready for Red Zone. You're ready for it.
Literally. So I regularly spoke about NFL on my radio shows.
And I think it should be allowed because the NFL is only like 4 months of the year. Like it's September to January. Like this is my time to talk about it. I don't care. The rest of the year, it's fine.
I think I started my radio show around about the September times when the season was just starting, and I left about March. So we'd done the Super Bowl and everything. So I wasn't really talking about it at the end anyway. But I can't. How can I not talk about it when it's takes over my life for 4 or 5 months?
I was going to say, with the NFL, what's your first memory of like getting into it? Like, I know for me, I wasn't like a massive fan of it. I was just like, watched the Super Bowl like everybody does. Everybody watches the Super Bowl. And I randomly played a Madden game. And then I played as the Buccaneers, got drafted. And that's how I became a Buccaneers fan. And then I found out they're owned by Man United. And I was like, but you know, I've stuck to it now.
It's a story I love telling about how I got into NFL, really. I mean, I used to be a fan of basketball and baseball when back in the 90s when Channel 4 had basketball and Channel 5 had baseball. I used to tape them on old VHS and then watch them after school. And I was never really into NFL or American football. And I decided one day I looks like a sport I'll probably enjoy. So I'm going to try and get into it. And I think in the 90s, again, I think it was probably Channel 4 that had like a highlight show or something like that. I started watching. I didn't really get it at first. As anybody who is used to watching our football or soccer, or apologies for that.
Yeah, everyone's just like, oh, it's all stop, start, stop, start. How are you watching it? It's too many breaks or there's nothing going on.
Yeah, how annoying is that when people say that? Just watch a game. I didn't really get into it how I wanted to get into it. So my sister got married. God, I can't remember the date. Sorry, Gemma, but it was early 2000s. She'll definitely correct me. Something like 2003, maybe, something like that. And she was going on honeymoon to Florida, and she said, "Is there anything I want bringing back?" And I said, "You know what? Yeah, bring me back an American football shirt." She said, "Yeah, what team?" And I said, well, "Not bothered. Whatever team you pick will be the team that I support. I don't have any allegiances to any city in America. I'm a Houston Rockets fan in terms of basketball. Didn't really care about following a Houston team in the NFL. A baseball team at the time was the New York Yankees. Again, wasn't particularly bothered about supporting one of the New York teams. So I said,
There's only one New York team. There's only Giants. We don't care about the Jets.
Well, they share the stadium, and there's also Buffalo Bills who are classed as New York, aren't they? Because they're in the state. But yeah, I wasn't particularly bothered about supporting a New York team, so I just said, bring me back whatever jersey you bring back, and they'll be my team. And she brought me back a Raiders jersey, and it has literally taken over my my life since. I'm going to stand up now, but I'm actually wearing Raiders shorts. And this is what I wore to work today.
It's the NFL colours as well. It's Raiders colours. It's black and
I've obviously got my pillow.
I love that pillow though. Like I said, obviously we're talking about it before, but just show everybody like what it is and how it was made, like where it was.
Yeah. So this was you can see the date there. I think the NFL games in London. I went to one at Wembley, not last year, the year before, which was the Raiders against the Seahawks, and the Seahawks won something like 27-3, and I was absolutely steaming to the point where the gentleman I went with, neither of us could remember the end of the game. We had a bit of an argument about whether we saw the Raiders field goal or not, because I remember seeing it and he doesn't. So that was a head scratch in the morning. Like, did we see that? We woke up and it was fried chicken all over the hotel floor. That's how pissed we were. And that was great. Wembley was a fantastic experience. The fan zone we had outside was great. We just drank far too much. And I did have, I owned my own Raiders flag, which was the American flag, but black and white with the Raiders badge in the corner. Mm-hmm. And that went missing. Pretty sure it was stolen, but I was drunk, so I may have misplaced it. But it's one of the things I've not got it anymore. But it's every game you get a flag for the home team at the London games, as you'll know. Yeah. And I went to the Raiders Bears game at the Tottenham Stadium in October last year, and it was a Raiders home game, so they had all these flags, which has the Raider Nation there and the helmet and the date. And I actually not stole, but I acquired quite a few of them. And I had two. I've still got 2 or 3 more in the loft, but I had 2 that I gave to my sister, and her boyfriend's mum made it into his pillow for me. So it's almost my pride and joy.
I think I've got my flag here. I'll see if I can grab it quickly. Just so people can see, like, it's literally just a flag. Yeah. And that's it. I've got about 7 of these somewhere around the house.
I can probably get them made into a flag to a cushion for you, mate, if you want.
That's fine. I might just try to see if I can get some more when they do them back in Wembley. Just get about 20 and just try and make like a duvet as well.
When I went to the Wembley one the year before, there was a guy who had a jersey made out of all the flags he'd been to the games to. It was mint, to be fair. We're chatting to him. He was quite a big dude, so he would have had to have gone to quite a few games. Yeah. But he did have a jersey made of all the different flags of all the games he'd been to. It looked pretty cool, to be fair. I was a little bit envious of that. Yeah. But yeah, it's fully my sister's fault that I support the Raiders, and they have taken over my life, perhaps in the last sort of 7 or 8 years, especially now NFL's getting big over here.
It's become massive, like he said. Now Sky's just recently acquired a whole channel as well, which is about time, considering they've always had like Sky Golf. I mean, to me, I don't know. It is big to some people. I've never really got into golf, but it's got its own channel, and then it's like Sky Football, Sky Premier League, Sky Scottish Premier League now, or whatever. It's just like, just give us some. Yeah, and like I said, it's all 24/7.
I was reading yesterday that it's the first time that an international broadcaster is going to be able to broadcast NFL games. So I didn't read too much into it, but I assume that means Sky will have their own cameras there, rather than having to use CBS or Fox or ESPN, whoever.
Yeah.
So which would be decent.
Which is good because when you always watch the games, it's always like CBS or Fox in the background, and like at the top, it's like it's got all of that. So it'll be its own Sky. I assume they'll have their own logos.
Yeah, I hope so. And it is. And as much as I like the fact that they cut back to the studio, they tend to cut back to the studio every 30 seconds because obviously American TV is governed by adverts. So it can be quite frustrating at times, but there's nothing we've been able to do about it. So you just you put up with it, don't you? But now Sky are potentially going to be broadcasting themselves from there. That's massive for us. Massive.
Especially like for somebody like ourselves as well, like a Bucks fan and a Raiders fan, we're not like exactly massive in like playoff picture. So we don't really. We have one game live on Sky, and it's like 1:35 in the morning on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's like so I have Game Pass, and I watched all the games on there, and it's just American advert. It's like, okay.
There's the same adverts as well that you see when you watch it on Game Pass. It just
love State Farm.
Yeah, don't get Tom Higgins started on that.
But like you said before as well, that with NFL is quite big as well. You wanted to do your own podcast about it as well, and just
yeah. So perhaps selfish reasons of my own, I wanted to have a little go on this with yourself, is to sort of see what you do in terms of filming. I don't think we'll film one. We'll probably just do an audio one. It's going to be Tom Higgins, who's a good friend of both of ours. We also have a group chat who was Tom and a few other people that we've all worked together. Most of us worked together, and we talk all year round. But certainly during the NFL season, on a Sunday evening, the group chat just goes off from 6 o'clock until whoever's the latest one up. Really, at times if you're the last one up, you talk to yourself for about an hour in the group chat.
Yeah. Oh my God, did you see that? Oh my God! And then in the morning, everyone's like, what?
Yeah, and if you're not the last up, you get up in the morning to like 180 messages. And I can't be arsed reading that. I'll just check the scores. Yeah. But yeah, Tom and I are hopefully potentially in the next few weeks going to set up some sort of NFL podcast. We've discussed the possibility of having special guests on. Obviously, yourself will be one of them. Gaz will be one of them. We'll probably ask Josh, but he won't do it because you know what Josh is like. Yeah. But we'll all the guys.
He would say he'll do it, then it'll come to the day and it'll be like,
oh, sorry. I'm not so sure I want a Chiefs fan to have a go anyway, to be honest, being that they're probably the best team in the NFL at the moment, and I can't stand them either. Yeah, so it's something we've just spoke about. We have come up with a name, and it's based on, obviously, Tom and I, and it's going to be first and big, second and short. Not going to say who's big and who's short, but that's going to be. We think that's going to be the name, and we do. If there's anybody watching who's really good at designing logos, we'd really like someone to do us a little logo that we'll use. But I'm so shit with stuff like that. I haven't got a clue where to start. So it could be funny to listen because neither of us have got a clue what we're doing. So
yeah, that's fair. Like I've wanted to do it for ages, and you just got to look into it. I checked Google, it's like, how do I do this? And I still don't have, I use Audacity for like audio design. Like I can put in there and just crop it all down. And then it was like, well, how am I going to record it? And especially with lockdown and social distancing, you've got to find an online platform to do it. So it's like, well, let's just try Zoom, see how it works. I think me and Jason went okay. Like I've watched it a few times. I've had some good responses from it. So it seems okay. Jason's quite an energetic person and keeps people captivated. Anyway. So it was always a nice first person to have on because I've known him for like 20 years.
His happiness is quite infectious, Jason's, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I know Tom's a massive fan of Jason's, Jason as a person, but because he's very happy and smiley and energetic, you can't help but join in with him being happy and smiley and energetic. Total opposite of me. I'm a miserable bastard who rarely smiles. But I totally see why Jason's doing as well as he is with his YouTube and stuff, because it's addictive. Watching him, I never understood why kids like to watch people open toys. I've never understood that. Luna's watched it a few times, and I know friends have got kids who like to watch other children open these toys. However, I've found myself watching Jason open Pokemon packs, So I feel like I'm just doing the same as what they do, and it's weird.
It's the thrill of it all, because I said we used to do it with FIFA, so I don't think you really played FIFA that much. But Ultimate Team, we just open packs. There was, like I said before, our Call of Duty chat and everything. It was all FIFA, so there was me, Tom Higgins, Jason, Latrell. We just all bought FIFA points, open packs. I spent last year about £800 on FIFA packs. But that's got nothing on Jason and Pokemon. Jason's
no.
A couple grand on Pokemon.
It seems like he's potentially going to, if he wants to, make a few quid from it. So
yeah,
I mean, I know for someone who collects old games consoles and old video games and things, I know roughly that some of mine are worth a few quid. However, I'll never sell them because they're mine. And I don't know what Jason's like, if he's getting these really expensive Pokemon cards to sell or if he's going to keep them because they're his. I wouldn't know what to do if somebody said to me that video game's worth £10,000 now. I'd be like, ooh, I really want to keep it.
Yeah.
However, but it always in the back of my mind is it's only going to go up in value. So I've got N64, I've got a PS1, I've got a Mega Drive, I've got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I've got all my GameCube games behind some of these books over here as well. Yeah, so I love my GameCube.
There's some great game. Mario Kart Double Dash is epic.
And trying to buy that second hand from CX is 40 quid now, like Double Dash. Yeah,
it's quality. It's class. I'm a massive Mario fan, to the point where I actually have.
I've actually got that. I'm obsessed with Yoshi as well. I've got a Yoshi. Teddy's.
He stays in bed. This is so sad. I'm not sure I should be admitting this, but he stays in bed with me every night. He sleeps on the other side of the bed, and when Luna comes, she knows Yoshi's been sleeping there. So, it's dead sad. But she's got her own Yoshi that is at her house as well. So when it started lockdown, when we were having video calls, when we had to reduce a bit of contact, she'd always ask me how Yoshi was, and she'd go and get hers. It's probably one of my favourite things with Luna is that she knows who Mario and Yoshi are and things like that, and she plays Mario Kart on my iPad as obviously Princess because Princess. It's massive Nintendo fan, Nintendo nerd, if you will. Perhaps not on the level that some are, but I didn't know Double Dash was going for as much as that.
I always look like I've still got Mario Party 4 and Super Smash Bros. And they're again the same, they're 30-40 quid. And I was like, Double Dash is one of the main GameCube games. So I thought I'd have a look in. It was like 40 quid. I was like, I'm not paying that much for a GameCube game.
It is epic though, Double Dash. Yeah, it's quality.
But they'll eventually release on the Switch. Like I've got a Switch, and like you're saying with Mario and Yoshi, Georgie's obsessed with Pokemon now. And it's just weird how obviously this is something we were doing in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it's still going on now. I mean, Pokemon's been going 25 years on TV. I mean, I've got nearly every episode on my computer.
I remember having Pokemon Blue on my Game Boy back at school. Jesus, that's made me feel old.
I've just been recently playing Let's Go Pikachu on the Switch, and it's basically the exact same game as Red, Blue, and Yellow. It's basically yellow, so you start with Pikachu and you go collect all the rest of the Pokemon. And Georgia was playing it one day, and I was just like, okay. And then I started playing it on the Thursday, and by the Saturday, I've already completed, and I've got 149 out of 151 Pokemon. So I'm just like, addiction takes over. Yeah,
I mean, there's room for improvement, obviously.
Yeah. But obviously, going back to comedy and the actual conversation with, you said, so I've lost all my words in my train of thought now. What's the future like then for now, like going in?
Yeah, we don't really know. There is a few other promoters who have booked gigs coming up, and for me personally, I want to see how they go. I want to see what they do before I commit to anything in terms of booking a gig with Dirty Blondes. I'm going to pop in and see Kieran and Molly and Jake there, and we'll discuss it and perhaps have a bit of a plan. They were looking for end of August. I think it's too soon, and it's going to be difficult because we had something like 65 or so people in Dirty Blondes last time, and it was a £5 ticket, which is great because you've got enough money to cover the acts that you've booked, and then you've also got a bit of money to pay both myself and Kieran for running it and things.
You also did the special ticket where you got like a beer and a pizza as well, didn't you?
Yeah. So Jake at Dirty Blondes has been mint. To be fair, he's all about getting people in the venue. So a slice of pizza and a beer and a ticket was something like a tenner, I think. So you got a massive slice of pizza, a pint, and a ticket for the comedy show. I mean, I think a slice of pizza is £3 on its own. A beer's £3 or £4. So there's £6 or £7, and you get a comedy ticket as well. So he's been fantastic with that. So because of the whole COVID thing, venues capacity has reduced. I think Dirty Blondes is down to now 40 people maximum. So we need to really get our heads together and decide what we're going to do in terms of ticket prices, acts that we book, the night we have it on, that sort of thing. Really, because it's going to be more than just putting it on and having a go. We need to really probably plan out what we need, how many tickets we need to sell to break even, to pay the acts that we book, things like that. If we have to up our prices, we have to up our prices, and people might not be happy paying £7 for a ticket or £7.50, whereas it was only a fiver before. But at the same time, we can't run it at a loss. We need to at least break even by paying the acts before even Kieran or I have been paid. So it's just something we need to discuss. We did it for months where we broke even, and we were happy that we weren't getting paid for it, Kieran and I, but we were loving it that much and building a brand, if you will.
It's like connections and the experience of doing it and different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and to have other comedians as well say we're running a really great gig, the audience is fantastic. You keep going. That is worth more than getting paid a small fee. Is other comedians loving performing at your gig. So for going forward, I don't know. I'd probably say maybe end of September we'll have something on. That's a bit of a plug here, but have a look at the Small and Shouty Comedy Club Facebook page for more info. Shoehorn that one in there, and whilst you're there, have a look at Matt Davenport Comedians Facebook page again. Just a little shameless plug. But yeah, I wish I knew. I really wish I knew. If we go back into another lockdown like Preston has, would we be able to put on a gig if we were locked down? Probably not. So it's anyone's guess. It is mine. I really don't know, mate. I wish I could tell you, but I would probably today say potentially end of September for our next show, first show after COVID. Probably have to come up with some catchy name for what it will be called.
Going off obviously COVID and puns and stuff like that, has lockdown made you have any new material based off COVID or?
Yeah, I've got it. I put everything in my phone. Any new jokes that I think of, I put in my notes section of my phone, and probably can't see, but all that stuff there is mostly new stuff. Majority of it, not all of it, not majority of it. To the point where I wrote a brand new joke on Sunday, just gone. Driving back from the shop, pulled into part of my car, and there was a magpie there. I'm not going to tell the jokes. I'm not finished writing it yet, but just seeing that made me say something to myself, and then I laughed. So I was like, "Oh, I could probably use that." So I sat in my car in the 5,000 degree heat and quickly typed into my phone what my idea was. As with any joke, you'll tell it for the first time, and 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work. So whenever I'm telling a new joke, I try and record it, even if I set my phone up on record at the side of the stage or whatever, and I'll try and listen to how I deliver it and how the audience receives it, and then I'll go back and rewrite it or tweak it, or many a time bin the joke completely, because I'll listen back and I'll just cringe and go, well, that didn't work. What I thought was hilarious, not one person even giggled at. So I've got hopefully quite a lot of potential new material that, like I said, might not work, but it's funny to me at the minute. So yeah,
it's like I say, it's trial and error, trying out different jokes, seeing what works and what doesn't work. But so when you're saying COVID, you just randomly see a magpie, and is that how most of your jokes come? It's based off real life. Like some comedians just basically just say, I just have my imagination, I tell a joke, but none of it's real at all. They just make it all up. Yeah,
that is 100% how I write jokes. It's something, I could be walking down the street and something might make me laugh, and I'll straight away stick it in my phone for a later date, and I'll go back over it. If I'm ever having a night where I'm feeling extra creative, I'll get my notepad out, I'll go through my phone, and I'll try and write these new jokes based on the ideas I've put in my phone. Sometimes I've completely forgotten what the idea was, and the notes in my phone do not make sense, so I just have to delete it. I haven't got a fucking clue. But there's been times when I've woken up at 2, 3 in the morning off the back of a dream, and something's made me laugh. So I've grabbed my phone and quickly put into my phone what it was. And I'm sure partners at the time going, "Who are you texting?" I'm like, "It's a joke. I'm writing a joke." "Yeah, of course you are. Why is the porn on your phone?" No,
it's research.
Yeah. If you've seen my jokes, a lot of them are about adult material. But yeah, things will just come to me randomly, and that's what I will try and do. Try and make something funny. It's like I said, the one on Sunday was I just saw a magpie and something made me laugh that I thought. So I instantly thought, well, that was quite funny. I'll stick it in my phone. I'll try and make a joke out of it. I have written a joke, but as I said, I need to try it out on stage and see and make sure it doesn't bomb. And if it does, I'll probably never tell it again.
But it's good that you've still been writing, because obviously with lockdown, it just sucks the creativity out of everything. Like, what have you been doing during lockdown? Because obviously you can't do comedy. Is it just been hopefully, like I said, just getting inspiration to write new stuff? Or
yeah, there's obviously a lot of people have had a lot of time at home during lockdown, and it's for me, it's been quite funny to see, especially at the start of lockdown, how many people were out and about exercising who perhaps weren't exercising before, but because we've been told we're allowed an hour a day or whatever it was, everyone was thinking, right, well, I'm going to have to use that hour a day. So there's a lot of stuff that I've got in my phone which is based around people doing things they perhaps weren't doing before, and I'm pretty sure they're not doing now, to be honest. Don't see as many people walking the dog first thing in the morning as you used to back in the heavy days of April. But yeah, so it is just, for me, it's just been things I've seen. It always is things I see. I've probably got, looking at the notes on my phone, probably another 15 minutes worth of material there that I need to write. Some of it I've written. I'll need to go back over. Probably, I used to record myself saying it. And this is really sad. Record myself on my phone saying it, and then listen back to it in the car on the way to gigs and decide whether I was going to tell it or not. And there's been many a time when I've forgotten half the joke when I'm halfway through. Very amateurish, but it happens. It's one of them things.
Yeah, that's everybody has their own techniques, and I think best as well, like, listen to yourself doing it. I mean, I try and sing. I can't sing as well, but like, I sing it and listen to myself, see how it goes, and I'm like, no, I'll delete the file. And I'm just like, no.
Nobody needs to hear that.
It's like, make sure it's deleted from the recycle bin. This ain't getting restored whatsoever.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's been crazy experience, but I don't know if you've done anything, for me anyway, experiencing lockdown, it's brought me closer to my family. I don't know, like, because we do all these family quizzes and stuff like that, and it's obviously brought our family together. People I don't even see. My parents live in France, uncles lives in Milton Keynes. We just come together and do a family quiz or anything. Has it been the same for like you? Do you feel like it's been beneficial in a way? It's unfortunate what's happened, but it's kind of, there's been good sides to COVID and lockdown.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are doing the old family Zoom quiz set nights of the week. I see it all over Instagram and things, and I know people are doing it. I think we've only done 2 Zoom quizzes. I think it's 2, maybe 3, I can't remember. But none of us can really be asked because we all live really close to each other. So
you can see each other all the time,
Yeah, to the point where my sister lives on the next street with her 2 kids and a husband who currently is stuck in Iraq. A little shout out to John there. He works in Iraq doing the close protection. He went out before lockdown, supposed to be there for 8 weeks, still there now. So that's what we're talking, 4 months, 5 months, something like that, maybe 6 months. And I'm not sure if he's aware, but Gemma's spending all his wage while he's not there. So apologies if this gets you in trouble, Gemma, but I'm sure you'll find out soon enough. But yeah, no, we all live really close to each other. So at first it was a lot of FaceTime calls and things like that, and family group chats. But it was difficult with not seeing or not having like my nieces round or anything like that. But as lockdown gradually eased, he could come in the garden, so we had some time sat in the garden. Luckily, the weather was really good for a few weeks during lockdown, where you could sit in the garden. It's really good at the minute as well. But Not really a lot has changed for us. Like I said, we all live really close to each other, so there was a few weeks where we couldn't see each other physically, but we're almost to an extent back to normal now. So.
Yeah. So we're going to go on to the final bit. I don't know if you got that far in the Jason video. Basically, as you say, I'm a massive film buff and music buff and everything. So I'm trying to do with all of my guests just a basic general like favourite kind of thing. So it's like a favourite round, shall we say? Just to
yeah.
We'll start off with like, obviously I know Jason for quite a while, so I tried to guess all of his. I don't know if I'll be able to guess all of yours, but we'll go for like favourite film.
I have a top 5.
Yes, go.
Which rarely changes. However, it did change last year. A film did sneak in at 5th that I watched last year. So I'll go from 5 to 1. And it was Joker that got in there at number 5. Saw that when it came out. I went to the cinema in Leicester the night before I went to the Raiders game. So self and partner at the time knew we were driving to London on the Sunday, but we managed to get a babysitter for Luna on the Saturday, so we just drove halfway to Leicester, went to the cinema, and watched Joker. I think it was the weekend it came out as well.
It was worth it.
Oh yeah, not a massive Marvel / DC / superhero type film fan. However, there's nothing superhero-ish about Joker anyway, and the film, without trying to ruin it, it's just about a guy with certain mental challenges and how he evolves. And for me, the last 25 minutes of that film is probably the best 25 minutes film I've ever seen.
It's one of my favourite scenes ever, the bit where he's walking out of the station, the slow-mo.
Yeah,
that scene's
so
incredible.
Good. From then on, when he's coming down the stairs with the dancing and the Gary Glitter song, from then on, he's just tremendous. It's one of the best bits of any film I've ever seen.
The most fascinating thing I think about Joker is, do you know who directed it?
Yes.
Todd Phillips, who directed The Hangover.
Yes.
To The Hangover to Joker is like, I think, incredible.
Yeah, it's not the same, but kind of the same.
Yeah.
People battling with their own minds. But yeah, that sneaks in there at number 5. Number 4 for me is Saving Private Ryan. I think it's just an epic film. Tom Hanks is tremendous in whatever he does anyway, and I just think it's really well put together. A film that I'll try and watch as often as I can.
I still haven't watched it yet, unfortunately. I've got Pacific and Band of Brothers. I've got them because it's kind of like in the same universe, isn't it? But I've still never watched Saving Private Ryan, so I get shouted at for that. Yeah.
Well, it surprises me, to be honest. I haven't watched it. Knowing what you like with watching films and things, it does surprise me. Now, the next 3, there is massively a theme with these next 3. They're all from the same genre, all from roughly the same time as well. But number 3 is Donnie Brasco, gangster film. I think it's phenomenal. It's just a gangster film. It's based on a true story, and Johnny Depp is superb in it, and Al Pacino as well. And then number 2 is Casino, again another gangster film with a fantastic combination of Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, and Casino. It's based in Vegas, and I won't say any more. It's just a gangster film. And my favourite film of all time is Goodfellas. I don't think I've
Goodfellas
ever
is incredible.
It's so good. I'm a massive fan of gangster films. There's films that get honourable mentions, I think, like Scarface, Carlito's Way. They're all great films. Even more so the modern ones, such as American Gangster with Denzel in it. Things like that. They're all great, but nothing will ever beat Goodfellas for me. I think it's just something I'll watch every 3 months or so, because I'll never ever get bored of it. And for anyone who's not seen it, just watch it.
It's for as long as I've always wanted to be a gangster.
That was my message tone on an old Nokia phone or Sony Ericsson phone I used to have years ago. For years, that was whenever I got a text message, that went off. Love Goodfellas, love it.
So would you say is like De Niro probably your favourite actor, or?
No. I'd probably put Denzel as my favourite actor. Just because, just probably over Tom Hanks. But I do really like Denzel Washington. I think he's phenomenal. In things like Training Day, that's another great honourable mention. It's a great film.
Yeah.
And I put Denzel first for me, just.
Just to clarify, I think you said right at the start, you're a fan of musicals,
Performing arts.
performing arts. So do you like musicals? I usually ask
Probably,
favourite musical, so it's like...
it's probably the one performing art I'm not massively into. I am into theatre, and I do quite like going to theatre and watching a live stage show.
Favourite play then? If we go favourite play. Favourite show?
The best one I saw The Boy in Striped Pyjamas at the Winter Gardens.
Okay.
So I saw the film, which is another fantastic film. And just want to go back to films. Shawshank Redemption has its own little spot. It can't be my top 5 because it's just the greatest film ever made.
Well, it's IMDb's number 1 film, isn't it? It's like one of these, like, it's like when you talk about TV shows, Friends is always the way up there.
Yeah.
But my favourite shows, obviously, like this, but Friends has its own category. Like, you can't put
I don't
that at the top.
think it would be fair of me to compare films to Shawshank. So Shawshank Redemption gets its own little thing. And I saw the West End production of that when that came to Blackpool, and that was great. But I think Boy in Striped Pyjamas just edged that for me. It was, everyone knows what the film's about, and it just tugged a little bit harder at the heartstrings.
I was gonna say, it must be fascinating to do on stage as well, like to do some of the stuff that you did on it, like obviously the cage and the chamber.
Yeah, it was just exactly that. It was when we walked in, the lady was showing people to the seat. She said, "Oh, you've got your tissues." And being a comedian, I had to refrain from saying, "I'm not going to knock one out." I didn't. It came to my mind straight away, and I just was like, "Yep, no worries." And no, it was. I'm sure it was the Grand Theatre we saw that at, and which is a lovely intimate theatre, the Grand. Read some stuff recently that it's struggling, which is understandable because it's not had a show for nearly 6 months. But it'd be such a shame.
I was supposed to be on it in April, obviously.
Yes, I remember seeing on your Facebook.
I'm supposed to be doing Shrek, so I love the Grand. I performed there several times through high school and college, and I love
fantastic theatre. Fantastic theatre.
Yeah. So we'll move on to music. I think you were doing. Was it yourself or Gary was doing your whole R&B playlist kind of thing, like recommended 90s playlists? Or
I did do like I got it on Spotify and Amazon Music. I did do a sort of 90s / indie / general bands sort of playlist. If I was to, not many people can ever guess my favourite song of all time because it's not really a genre I listen to a lot. But my favourite song of all time will be Marvin Gaye, "Heard It Through the Grapevine." I just think it's a phenomenal song.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah, bit of a fan of Marvin Gaye. However, my roots are firmly embedded into rap and hip hop, which is so far from, not massively far from Motown, but quite a bit different from Motown. So, yeah, Marvin Gaye, "Heard It Through the Grapevine," favourite song ever. If I was to pick a favourite album of all time, God, I don't know. There's a lot, and I always criticise people when they can't pick a favourite of something. I always think it's weak. So just have some balls and pick a favourite.
Yeah.
Favourite album? I'd probably go the Slim Shady LP by Eminem. It was almost groundbreaking when he burst onto the scene with that.
Yeah, it's like you said with Marvin Gaye, like to Eminem. It's like my Spotify you'll go through it all. I'll have something like heavy metal, like over here, and it will go down to some country down here, then go up to like Kelly Clarkson. It's like it's just completely.
Yeah. I'm not ashamed to admit there's a few One Direction songs that I don't mind bopping away to. If a song is good, I'm not one of these people who I don't like that genre of music, so I won't listen to it. There's not many genres of music I won't listen to if I like a song. Massive Paul Simon fan as well. Like, huge Paul Simon fan. He's fantastic, and again, it doesn't really fit with me being a lad who likes rap and hip hop covered in tattoos. Yeah, I really like Paul Simon. So what?
Yeah. And then your favourite TV show? Like you could just sit and just watch. Like if it's on TV, you had the choice and it was on.
In terms of a TV series, I'm a bit strange that I struggle to finish a lot of TV shows that your popular ones. However, there has been 2 that I have got to the end of, so that means I must have enjoyed them. and they are Breaking Bad and Sons of Anarchy. A lot of other things that I've watched, I've just lost interest in. I'll probably finish Power, so I'm not far from the end of that as well. But I would probably pick Breaking Bad over Sons of Anarchy, just for one reason, and that's have you seen Sons of Anarchy?
No, I know what it's Charlie Hunnam, and they've recently done Mayans as well, haven't they? Which is like a spin-off of it.
It's a motorcycle criminal gang, basically. And there's one of the seasons, I think there's 7 in total. One of them, probably series 3 or season 3, whatever, is based in Ireland, and it's just shit. It's crap. And for me, that ruins. If that series hadn't have happened, I would have preferred Sons of Anarchy over Breaking Bad. But that one in Ireland, whatever season it is so bad it ruins. It doesn't ruin it because the rest of it's phenomenal. But there isn't a part of Breaking Bad where I thought, well, that was shit. So Breaking Bad for me is the best TV show I've watched.
I know what you mean. Like my favorite TV show is Dexter. I absolutely love Dexter to pieces, but everybody complains the finale was awful, so it kind of like puts it down a bit because it's like. I'll stand by Dexter. I love
people.
it.
People say that the ending of Breaking Bad was poor, but I didn't think it was. I thought it was quite good.
I prefer the alternate ending. If you ever saw that,
I don't think I have.
He basically wakes up, and this is a real thing. I'm not making this up. This is on the DVD. Basically, obviously, what happens at the end, without spoiling it for anybody who hasn't watched it, and then all of a sudden he wakes up and he's in bed, and he's Half and Michael in the middle, and his wife from the TV show's next to him, and it's just basically, Hal, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I just had a weird dream that I was this guy selling drugs, and then all of this happened, and it's like the best thing ever. Like, because so many people were like, oh, what if it's just a prequel and just trolling it? They actually filmed it, and it's incredible. Check it out on YouTube. It's amazing.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, no, Breaking. What do if I'm watching stuff in bed to fall asleep? I'll watch a lot of comedy programs in the Mock the Week, things like that.
Yeah.
And I've recently got back into Whose Line Is It Anyway, as I've found that is on all 4, which is so good.
You talk about the classic ones with Drew Carey or the newest series?
Because
they've rebooted it in the US now with Aisha Tyler, and she's hosting.
Yeah, no, the before Drew Carey, more Clive Anderson stuff. I'm talking
about UK.
Way back in the 90s. Yeah. It's still Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery, as you'd expect. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of British comedians who aren't very good on it. But Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery still steal the show, even 20 odd years ago. And it's on all 4 on demand on Channel 4. It's well worth getting. The first few seasons are a bit crap, but when you get to about season 3 or 4, when Ryan and Colin
finding its feet and doing it properly.
Yeah, it's so good. That's what I've been watching a lot of lately, because it's just good to watch in bed when you're trying to sleep or whatever, and then you end up staying awake watching about 15 episodes. And it's fucking boring. But
I love the US one. I love Wayne Brady because obviously musical comics. I love musical comics as well. So
unbelievably quick-witted. Thinking on his feet with singing as well. Class.
And for fan of like Disney as well, I don't know if Luna watches. Did she ever watch like Sophia the First or anything like that? Yeah. Because he's actually the bunny in Sophia the First, Wayne Brady. The talking bunny. Yeah, it's Wayne Brady.
Yeah.
So, I was like, I know that voice. How do I know that voice?
I've never noticed that. Now makes me want to watch an episode. But also a fan of Disney. Again, not something people would probably associate with me, but I love Disney. Massive fan.
Your favourite Disney movie? The final question.
You including Pixar?
No, Disney classic, or 55, 56 of them. You can do a Pixar one as well if you want. Is that going to be Toy Story?
Lion King.
Lion King.
Yeah. And then if we're including Pixar, Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Just over Toy Story. Just.
Yeah. I think surprisingly, like, you would never guess mine. Like, I love Tangled. I love Mandy Moore. So Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi. It's amazing. That's all I need. No. I actually got a Rapunzel Christmas decoration last year. We all bought our own Disney decoration. It's that, and then Aladdin's a close second. Like Robin Williams is like incredible.
Aladdin would have been my second as well, to be fair.
But yeah, I think that's basically everything. Is there anything else you want to say about where to follow you, or about Small and Shouty, or?
Well, you know, I do have a Twitter, as everybody seems to, or most people have these days.
Speak. I completely forgot to ask about Twitter. You had this Blackpool Bars World Cup thing.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
World.
I was like, I need to talk about this.
That was so long ago as well.
Yeah.
The World Cup of pubs I had.
Yeah.
Something I was sat on my bed early on in lockdown, bored, and I thought, what can I do? So I was like, I'll just create a World Cup of Blackpool pubs, and I had to have a number that was divisible by in half each time.
Yeah.
So I got 64. I probably could have done more. I don't think I'd have got to 132 or whatever, 128. Sorry, but I did 64 Blackpool pubs, and in the first round, I put them against their local rivals. If that's the right phrase, the pub closest to it, and it's just something I did for a laugh, and it took off to the point where certain regulars of certain pubs were obviously buying votes, and I was getting people messaging me. I set up a Twitter called Blackpool Pub World Cup or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just went off. And at first I was like, oh, I had friends of mine messaging me saying, oh, I've just been telling people that I know the guy who's running the World Cup of pubs. And I was like, joking, only me. But I had people who ran pubs messaging me, telling me other pubs were cheating. I had people giving me shit, telling me I need to disqualify pubs and all this. And I was like, what is going on? I was messaging our mate Gaz quite a lot during it, saying, what do I do here, mate? Because
I just wanted some fun. I just wanted to just do this.
Yeah, I didn't think people would take it so seriously, to the point where they're paying for votes.
You got a trophy at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Highfield Social won it in the end.
They got a plaque outside of your bin. They've got a plaque.
Well, this is where it's going to look a bit dodgy, but I've been a member there for nearly 18 years. So I'm not far off life membership of the Highfield Social, and I do go fairly regularly as well. But in fact, I'll mention the pub that was cheating. It was the Clarence pub were cheating because they were losing votes substantially during the 24-hour period, and then all of a sudden they were 500, 600 votes in front in like 20-minute span. So I'm like, what is happening here? So I spoke to Gaz and a couple of mates, and I said, like, should I just disqualify Clarence? And we didn't disqualify them. I redid the vote of the pubs they'd beaten in the later rounds and unlocked the account. So only people who were following the account could vote. That way, it was probably fair that you can't buy votes. It's only I think they had about 800 or 900 followers. Only those people that can vote. And the Clarence did not win the final, the rematch, whatever you want to call it. So it was super obvious they were buying votes. But a lot of the lads from the Clarence were giving me a bit of shit, tweeting about me, messaging me and stuff. And I was like, lads, it's a fucking bit of fun. Turn it in.
What was it like? It's like, come in, we'll give you a free pint if you vote for us on Twitter.
They were just sending messages like, how can you disqualify the Clarence when clearly the number 3 has been cheating as well? I'm like, what are you on about? I've not disqualified anybody. Just literally people I've never ever spoke to in my life and probably never will do. People who weren't even following me on Twitter were messaging me, giving me shit. I'm like, just go away. So I'd set up a World Cup of Blackpool takeaways.
Okay.
And I was like, and that was ready to go as soon as the pub one was finished. And I just thought, I've had enough of people giving me shit about the pubs that the takeaway one is not happening. And it's still on my iPad somewhere, the fixtures that I did it so weird. I did it all into little mini groups of 4, where it was kebab shops, pizza places, chippies and all that sort of stuff. And then the top 2 from each one went through and stuff like that. Yeah, so it would have been pretty good, but I couldn't be arsed with the grief I was getting.
Well, I was going to say, will you be revisiting like 4 years like the real World Cup? You'd be like, who's going to be the World Cup winner this year? Or it was like takeaway is going to be like the Euros 2 years after.
Yeah, that could be what I do. But yeah, it was what started out as a bit of fun, and I got well into it, and I did a little live draw or something on Twitter or whatever I did, and I didn't live, I filmed it, but it just became hard work dealing with dickheads. I was like, I can't be arsed. I was going to say I haven't got the time. I did have the time, so I wasn't doing a lot at the time, but I just couldn't be arsed. That was ultimately it.
Yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, I was going to say before Twitter, like where can I follow you?
Yeah, so At Matt Davenport is my Twitter, my comedy page on Facebook, which is pretty quiet because I'm not using my own personal profile at the moment. But I think it's Matt Davenport Comedian. But then the main one to look at is Small and Shouty Comedy Club on Facebook. That's where all of our stuff will be posted. Any future gigs will be on there, and also have a look at Dirty Blondes. Give their page a like because that can be quite entertaining at times, to be fair, as well. Yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me. I do have Snapchat, not very good with it. I don't even know my name. I forget I've got it at times. And I do have Instagram again. Matt Dav84, I think, is my username. I try and go through spells of using these social media. Then I realise I'm 35 years old, and by the time this video goes on, I'm actually 36. It's my birthday on Sunday. But I feel like I'm just too old for the social media generation, the selfie generation. And perhaps if I was 10 years younger, I'd be more into Instagram, Snapchat, or whatever. It is cool these days. But yeah, TikTok as well. I haven't really got a clue.
I don't understand it. I'm coming up to 30 next year, and it's just, I just try and it takes over your life. You wake up in the morning, you're on Facebook, Instagram, you wasted half an hour of your morning just checking all your status, checking what everyone's up to.
That's why I deleted the Facebook app, and because I found that I was going to bed at whatever time, and I was spending half an hour just scrolling through people's shit that I wasn't really interested in. And it was at the time when the Black Lives Matter issue was coming around. I wasn't happy seeing comments from people who are friends of mine and I did not agree with. It's probably the best way to put it. It's not particularly aimed at anyone specifically, but there seemed to be a lot of people I would have considered a friend who were sometimes being really obviously racist, and it's not something I really wanted to see, and I didn't want to get involved in massive arguments with people, and so I just deleted the app early June, and I haven't been on it since. My account's still active, but I've not been on it. I don't miss it. Twitter, I deleted as well, but I found myself dragged back to Twitter because that's funny. But yeah, Facebook was just
quick cold turkey, and it worked.
Say that again.
You quit cold turkey and it worked.
Yeah, that literally, yeah. Twitter is funny and not. I don't feel like it's as serious as Facebook. And Facebook was just really toxic from people who.
Especially when Brexit and then Black Lives Matter and then everything just happened all at once.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and obviously COVID-19 and things. And I just was like, I just need to get off Facebook and stop getting. I was getting angry with people that are friends of mine. I thought this is going to end in an argument that I don't want to be involved in. So I deleted it, and that's it.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that's everything that we've got time for now. Hopefully we can do this again. Like I said, when everything's all back to normal and you've got back gigs again. And
we'll do a real one in the same room.
Yeah, oh my God, I can imagine. It's like, Jesus, I can remember like the last time I've been in a room with somebody else. Like Jason's come around to watch the football, but like when it first happened, he was sat outside. It was like, you're sitting outside, you're not coming in our house. Move the TV so you can see it.
It'll be groundbreaking having more than 2 people in a room.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot easier to record and stuff as well, because I think with Zoom as well, if you get more than 3 people, you have the 40-minute time limit, which is slightly annoying. Yeah. Whereas if you've only got 2 people, you've got unlimited, you can talk as much as you like, and that's good. And I find it a really good format to have the video and the audio as well, because some people don't have time to listen, or some people like to watch on YouTube, and they can find it all different ways as well. So I don't know if you're thinking about doing that for the NFL one, or if it's just going to be audio or...
Tom and I haven't got a clue what we're doing. I think we're going to just have a go at something, see what happens, and try and make something work. But it'll be just talking about NFL, which is what we're both fans of, and yourself and a few others. So it'll be more. There'll be a lot of Tom Brady comments in there. As you know, I'm not a fan of his. There'll be a lot of Patriots comments in theirs. I'm not a fan of theirs either. In fact, it'll just be me and Tom talking about teams we hate, really. I think that's what'll happen. I can't fucking stand the Chiefs, they won again. But it'll just be talking. It's going to only really work during the NFL season, I imagine, where we can talk about games and results.
It's like when we talked about it, it's like, I can't see doing one now 4 weeks before,
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what do you expect for the season? But then
Yeah.
it's like, what else are you going to do? I don't know how they do it professionally. Like, they're always like
No.
doing it every day. It's how.
And they do. They have Good Morning Football, which is on every single day. And I honestly, I still watch it, but I don't know what they talk about. But I still watch it. I would have to see what happens during the season, I guess, and then potentially if the XFL takes off again, there could be
Dwayne
that.
Johnson.
Yeah, which is quite exciting, really. And then if that takes the same format, we're getting towards draft time, so that could be a thing.
Yeah.
And then it's almost into pre-season camps, so there's potential
all
for it
year
to go all
round,
year round.
hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be ideal. But it's such a short season, the NFL. It disappoints me.
Yeah. So the final thing, just to leave us with, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Tom Brady 12.
No.
Tampa Bay 12.
I really want to say the Raiders, of course I do. Realistically, I don't think they're going to win it this year. I do think the Raiders will win it in the next sort of 7 or 8 years. They built a really young squad. They obviously had massive draft picks this year and last year, and they've got a brand new ball singing all dancing stadium in Vegas. So I do think they're trying to win a championship fairly soon. But I just think with a lot of rookies and second-year players this year, it's perhaps too early for us. So taking my blinkers off, I can't. It hurts me to say this, but I can't see past the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is so good, and they've got a great team and a really good head coach. And it does hurt me to say that, but and I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but I can't see much past the Chiefs.
That's perfect. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, no, I've enjoyed it, mate.
Thank you.